thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are tracking snow across the U.S. this weekend. Now, what we're going to see for most of the U.S. is a big cool down. We're going to see those temperatures plummet once again. Some of us are going to get snow. Some of us that don't often get snow are going to see snow. So we've got snow potential in Florida, snow across Georgia, the Carolinas, and even into Virginia. And a lot of this thanks to a bomb cyclone. And yes, that is a real weather term. That is actually something that we say in the weather community. A bomb cyclone will explain exactly what that is and why you should be paying attention to it this weekend. Blizzard-like conditions and strong wind, up to hurricane-force winds, are possible in the Carolinas this weekend, and that could cause whiteout conditions across the Carolinas. That'll absolutely be something that we have to watch. Dangerous conditions possible across the Carolinas, but they're quiet right now. Over the last 48 hours, we've seen a few little flurries. I've been watching this little band of snow or streak of snow across the plains over the last 24 hours here. Now, this is just the first sign of something is forming. We've got a low pressure system that's weak. It's disorganized right now. It's trying to pull in that cold air, surging down the plains into places like northern Oklahoma, the northern side of Arkansas and Missouri. So we've got some cooler air going on right now, but this is just the first of what is to come from a stronger system that will intensify later on this week. And you can kind of start to see the dip in the jet stream there, but that is going to be a lot stronger this weekend. So we've got a few little snow flurries out there right now, nothing major at the moment. A little bit of moisture that's moving across the northern portion of Florida, and then there's your band of snow or streak of snow that's moving into northern Kansas and the central portion of Nebraska. Now, what we're watching for as we head into the rest of the day is not a lot going on across the plains. It's chilly here, barely hitting above freezing in Oklahoma, still below freezing in Kansas City, but that colder air is going to move in, and it's going to feel even colder by tomorrow morning, which is why we have a lot of those cold alerts in place. Highlighted in white is that cold weather advisory that covers a good portion of the southern side of the U.S. and our New England states. We have a winter storm warning. Now, this is the area that's going to see those major winter impacts. What we're talking about here is 3 to 7 inches of snow for a good portion of this area, but up to 10 inches of snow or even greater than that in a few other areas that haven't seen a snowfall like this in decades. This isn't something that happens very often across the Carolinas. We have an extreme cold warning as well, anywhere from the southeast all the way down to Florida, and we'll talk more about Florida here in just a few minutes. But because of this cold and because of the snow that's incoming, what does your roofing forecast look like for next week? Well, it's going to be cold, so late next week we'll finally get above 40 across the northern plains. As we head into the northeastern side of the state of Oklahoma, you may still see a little bit of snow on the roofs, but that will melt all by Monday, so you can get back out on Monday. We've got a small pocket across the Carolinas that are going to have snow for a while. That'll probably stay or stick around until late next week as well. So that's your winter weather. What about your significant severe weather? No, it's just too cold right now. No significant severe weather happening across the U.S. Thanks in part to a high pressure system that's keeping all that moisture away and a low pressure system that's ushering in that cold air. So what does that mean for most of us? Dry and cold, bitter cold. We'll talk about how cold here in just a few minutes. But also this low pressure system, this is what we're keeping an eye on this weekend, where right now it's not very impressive. It's weak, it's pretty disorganized, but all of that will change as we head into early tomorrow morning, whenever we start to see this intensify and intensify rapidly. And that's where we get this name bomb cyclone. So what that means is it's a low pressure system that undergoes bombogenesis, or it rapidly intensifies in a very short period of time, losing or dropping 24 millibars in 24 hours or less. That is what classifies it as a bomb cyclone. And yes, that's a real weather term, and yes, that's actually going to happen. We're watching for that to happen just off the East Coast here. In the Carolinas, we'll start to see this rapidly intensify by early Saturday morning. As we head into Saturday afternoon, that snowfall is continuing in this area, fueled by the moisture from the Atlantic and holding on to that cold Canadian air that it's brought down with it. Slowly, this will go up the East Coast, bringing a little bit of snow to the East Coast states here, so we're going to have to keep an eye on our New England states. But the amount of snow is in question right now because we're not quite sure how close to the East Coast this low pressure system is going to go. If it goes farther out into the Atlantic, not a ton of snow for our New England states. If it goes a little bit closer to the coast, we're going to get more snow in this area. Just a few miles can make a really big difference. But you can see just how much this thing changes in just a few hours. Let's go ahead and talk about what this actually means for us. Well, I talked about right now, it's disorganized. We don't have a ton of moisture in the air. It's pretty dry right now. So what's falling right now is not terribly impressive. Your snowfall totals at the moment are not very impressive. We'll pick out a few cities here. We'll talk about Omaha, Nebraska first, which, hey, speaking of Omaha, HailTrace will be in Omaha in about 2 weeks for our Raising Hail tour. So if you're in Omaha, you're not going to get a ton of snow, maybe about ½ an inch in some places. That'll be happening today into Sunday. You're going to have another round on Sunday. But HailTrace will be there in a few weeks, so make sure that you check us out in Omaha. St. Louis, you're also not going to get a ton of snow either. You know who will get a lot of snow? This area where that low pressure system is intensifying. So right here, we've got across the Carolinas, across Virginia, across Tennessee, you're all expecting to get a lot of snow in this area. So let's zoom down into that area. What timeline here? Early Saturday morning is whenever that snow will begin. All the way through, it'll continue through late Saturday and into early Sunday. Moving off pretty quickly, that's pretty typical with these strong low pressure systems, is they move quickly. But the damage is already done, right? You've already got snow that is sitting on the ground across the Carolinas, Georgia, Virginia, and Tennessee. So let's go ahead and let's talk about how much snow we're expecting to get here. 3 to 7 inches for most people. I know that's a wide range. 3 inches is a lot different than 7 inches of snow. But for some people, you could get up to 10 inches of snow, and this could be very, very impactful in places like Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's actually check out Raleigh here. We finally have enough model data to get a pretty clear picture on how much snow we're expecting to get. So hour by hour here, by Saturday at 3 a.m., you've already got a few inches of snow on the ground. Saturday at 9 a.m., you've got even more, 4 or 5 inches of snow. Some models are wanting to bring 10, 12, 13 inches of snow by early Sunday morning. That is a lot of snow on the ground. That is going to keep you out of schools and work for a little bit as long as it stays cold. Now, speaking of that cold air, again, that's coming down from Canada, they are not the only ones who's going to stay cold this week or this weekend. Actually, we're going to be cold across most of the U.S., and one of those places is Florida. For this, I'm going to bring in meteorologist Michaela Smith. Michaela, you have been studying Florida and the impacts that they're going to see. We haven't seen this in years.
Yeah, we're talking about the possibility of some snow flurries on the west side of Florida. So, you know, like the Panhandle sees snow. I mean, they had snow like 2-3 weeks ago. That far south in Florida, not very often you're talking about snow, and the level of cold that they're about to see, not very often they're really common either.
So we have snow in the Atlantic and the Carolinas, and then we have snow across the Gulf states as well, across the Gulf Coast and Florida. Explain how this happens, because this is not very common.
Yes, so it's something very similar to, you've heard us talk about lake effect snow. What is lake effect snow? How is that caused? Well, we've talked about that again before, so we'll see if we can jump to the next thing. Okay, Gulf effect snow, that's what we're getting. So very similar to lake effect snow. It's going to start with the warm waters of the Gulf. Now you're thinking it's January, the water can't be that warm. No, it's going to retain its warmth. It's not obviously going to be as warm like a bathtub in August, but compared to the temperatures on the land that are about to move in, it's significantly warmer. So you start with the warm waters of the Gulf. Then you have this strong low pressure system that Taylor was just talking about, this bomb cyclone that's developing off the coast of the Carolinas. And along with it, that really cold polar air is going to start to move in. So you get cold temperatures on land, you have the warm waters, and you really only need about 23 to 25 degrees difference from the warm water and the cold land to start to see some of that snow develop, because you'll start to see some of that evaporation. That warm water, that moist air is really going to try to rise, but the air above that, that cold air, can't retain as much moisture as warm air would, as warm water would, So that's why we start to see snow. So you have this cold air, again, that's coming off of the land right over this warm water. So the cold air is on top, sliding over this warm water, and that starts to create snow bands. So when we have these nice northerly winds that are becoming, again, off the cold air, moving across the water, we're going to get these snow bands right along the west coast of Florida, and that's why we're talking about the potential for snow in areas like Tampa for this weekend. So here's a look at one of our future radars. You can see, again, timeline is going to be just some rain showers Saturday afternoon, but once we get into the late night hours Saturday into Sunday, you start to see maybe a few flurries across Tampa. You can very clearly see these lines, though. Again, this radar is, or this future kind of radar is doing a really good job of just depicting these models, these snow bands, this lake effect or this Gulf effect snow that we would be seeing. So a lot of it will just be moisture in the form of rain still, but where that colder air is still seeping into the north, there is some of that snow band. So gets close to between about Tampa and down towards Fort Myers, so the western coast of Florida, seeing that potential snowfall again going from Saturday night into Sunday. And it's not just the snow that we're talking about, we're also talking about really cold temperatures. As Taylor pointed out earlier, check out Florida. Most of Florida is under extreme cold warning, and the further you go to the south, they also have a freeze. Now, it was a freeze watch earlier. Now you can see this area in purple. That's a new update here. That's a freeze warning. And then cold weather advisory goes down to the Keys, all the way to far south Florida. Again, that's how far they're talking about this cold air. And it hasn't been like that in over a decade. The last time that they had really cold temperatures that they would have issued some type of watch similar to this, it had a different name back then, but that was in December 2010. And then the last time areas like Tampa also had snow flurries, that was January 2010. 2010, that was a year. Apparently lots of cold weather happened across Florida, but again, that really hasn't happened in over a decade. So it's not very common that you're seeing the entire state of Florida dealing with these really cold temperatures. Again, every part of Florida now is either under an extreme cold warning, a freeze warning, or that cold weather advisory. So be prepared for a lot of records to be broken this weekend, both record colds and record high cold temperatures in the afternoon. It's going to be one of those weekends that Floridians maybe stay inside. They're not used to this type of cold weather moving in. I'll bring meteorologist Taylor Cox back in here just again. We've been watching this. Last week with the snowstorm, Florida stayed out of it. You know, everyone was kind of joking that Florida didn't want to participate in winter. It was like nicely carved out. Everybody else was freezing. Yes. And Florida was still sitting in like the 70s. Not this time. They don't get to escape it this time.
Yeah, this time we're having all eyes on Florida because they're seeing temperatures that are record-breaking in some places, but we haven't seen this type of cold in at least 15 years.
Oh yeah, it's been a long time. And again, talking about, you know, Gulf effect snow. When we first started seeing that trending, we were like, what is going on here? And it's a real thing. It's what's happening.
You know, you all may think that bomb cyclone is a funny term. We thought Gulf effect snow was a really funny term. I was like, is that what we're calling it?
must be a new thing in the weather because we're just like snow flurries in Florida, body of water. Okay, yeah, this is what we're calling it now.
Scientifically, it makes sense. I'm looking forward to seeing this happen. Great breakdown. Thank you, Michaela. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about that cold air across the entire country because as Michaela mentioned, right now, Florida is not participating in this winter. However, you give it 24 hours, probably closer to 12 hours, and you can see that temperatures drop drastically in this area. And they stay cold for most of the country where we are below average across a good portion of the country, not only today, but through a good portion of the weekend. Finally, by Sunday afternoon, we start to warm up and this warm air starts to move back in. And this is where I see a change in the weather. A change from that winter to something else is happening here. And I like this. Self-made, self-paid says any updates on hail are appreciated. So this is where I was going. Great timing with that question is that it looks like by the middle of next week, something is changing. We've got a pattern shake up here. And I want to actually go back to some of our long-term models and I want to pull in, it is actually my next slide. So let's just go ahead and fast forward here. I want to go to the early portion of next week to the middle of next week. It looks like we could have some sort of system, and I'm not saying there's severe weather, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that there's some sort of moisture that's going to bring a little bit of snow and a little bit of rain. And so I'm looking at this right here. Are we going to see our next chance for severe storms? It is too early to tell, but this is my next indication that the pattern is changing, that chance for severe weather is starting to inch its way back in, and it's starting to say, hello, I haven't left, I may return soon. And soon, how early? Maybe by next week. Early or middle of next week. We're talking Wednesday, Thursday at this point. I'm watching this. Every single model run looks more impressive for this to become something severe. Again, it's too early to tell, but it's something that I'm keeping my eye on. Now I'm gonna rewind a little bit and go back to cold temperatures for this weekend because I want to show you how cold we're actually getting. By early Saturday morning, it looks like temperatures will be below 0 for a lot of us. 8 below 0 in Minneapolis, sitting right at that 0 line in Kansas City. Dangerously cold. We do not warm up above freezing for most of us throughout the rest of the day on Saturday, but thankfully conditions do improve by Sunday afternoon. We start to see temperatures above freezing for a portion of the plains on Sunday, and then a lot of us finally get above freezing on Monday afternoon. So conditions are changing. This cold Arctic winter pattern will last through this weekend, but I do think that we'll start to see that change, shake up a little bit by the middle of February. Hey, we've also got some rain coming in. This is what I was talking about. By the middle of next week, we could get some really good rainfall as well across our southern states and across portions of the Midwest. A little bit of warmer air coming in as well. Let's talk about the very beginning of February, February 4th through the 5th. This is that warm air that I was talking about. We need that to move just a little bit farther to the east for some better potential for severe weather. And yeah, we need the moisture too. So if we don't get that moisture, then we have a very poor chance for severe weather. It does look like overall for the very beginning of February, we're gonna stay on the dry side. So we'll see what happens. It looks like this is a trend for a good portion of February. I'm not expecting a ton of storms in February itself, but we are starting to see that change up take place. Chipper says, trying to make Denton on February 5th. We will see you in Denton, Texas. Speaking of that, if you guys are not signed up for the Raising Hail Tour, go ahead and do that today. If you want a discount code for the Raising Hail Tour, DM us. We have a discount code to give away. DM us if you're interested in heading to the Raising Hail Tour. Raising-hail-tour.com. We have 6 different cities this year. As Chipper said, we have Denton, Texas. We have Edmond, Oklahoma, starting next Tuesday. After that, we are going to Omaha, Denver, Chicago, and Minneapolis. So all around the plains and the Midwest. We are excited to see you guys there and talk about a hail update. We will have the 2026 hail forecast at all of those Raising Hail Tour locations. Hey, in the meantime, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and head to our website for more information about what HailTrace does, HailTrace.com. We map storms, we map hail, wind, and tornadoes, so you can check out those maps at HailTrace.com, or you can give us a call at 855-334-4245, or email us at info@HailTrace.com. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here, same time, same place on Monday.